So in this section we're going to take a closer look at the terrain that comes in the game. This is my Steadicam, which is me holding the camera in my hand, so I apologize if it's a little bit shaky. I'll try to keep it from getting too blurry as well. So this is a quick look at everything that comes in a complete game for terrain. I'll go ahead and do some close-ups. We're going to start in the center, where you can see you get 2 towns. Each town is a base, which represents the actual town itself, and 4 buildings. These are resin cast buildings that have been painted. You also get a church there in the center, and each town also includes that little wall section up front. That's used in the rules to create outposts. We'll cover that later on when we go into the rules in more detail. So 2 towns plus a church, a total of 9 buildings there. Then there are 2 farms. Each farm consists of a building and 2 fields. One of the farms is kind of a traditional farmhouse kind of thing. The other one is a walled farm, a chateau, reminiscent of La Haye Sainte, perhaps. 2 fields with each one, so that's a total of 11 buildings that come in the game. As I mentioned, you also get 6 foam core hills that can be set out on the tabletop, and they are painted to match the tabletop itself. You'll notice that they have a line down the center that represents the actual crest of the hill. Alright, on the forest, as I mentioned, you get a total of 30 trees. In the back you see the 18 pine trees. That's 4 bases with 3 pine trees each, 2 bases with 2 pine trees, and then 2 single pine trees. Behind them you can see the felt that's used to represent the actual outline of the forest, and that comes in different colors depending on what I have available at the time. Up front you see the broadleaf bases. There are 2 bases with 3 trees, 2 bases with 2, and 2 single bases. A total of 30 trees come in the set. Alright, coming up here, as I mentioned, you get stone walls. There are a total of 8 pieces, 18 inches long, of stone walls. You also get 8 pieces, 18 inches, of hedges. The hedges and stone walls are sometimes used just for decoration, but sometimes they have a real impact on the game. You also get 2 bridges. That's the large bridge. And you get a small bridge, and you can see the material that's used to represent rivers in between. It's just painted felt that's been edged in dark brown. You can also see the material that's used for the roads, which again is felt edged in brown, so that it looks like it's just looks like a typical European dirt road. There are also included in the game these objective markers, and they're covered in the rules how they're used. You get a total of 4 of these, 2 French, and for this army, 2 Prussian. Each marker is 2 wagons and a cavalry figure that's been painted in the appropriate uniform for the trained troops of that army. So, and of course the battlefield that this is all set on. As I mentioned, the battlefield is about 36 inches wide and 30 inches deep, and of ample size to play a battle using the armies that are included in the starter set, with plenty of maneuver room and off-board reserves, flank marches, all that stuff that's covered in the rules. Okay, in the next section we're going to take a look at the actual armies in more detail, so we'll get to that here in just a second. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at the armies that are provided in the starter set. We're using my Steadicam method of just holding it in my hand. So, what we have, each army will have 11 brigades of infantry and cavalry. The rules are set up so that you command a corps. Your maneuver units are brigades. 12 figures of infantry, 6 figures of cavalry form a brigade. Now, on each brigade of infantry, it's 12 figures. You'll see them in the back. They're mounted on 4 stands, each stand having 3 figures, and the stands are mounted on a brigade maneuver stand. But this allows you to form different formations. You can form line, column, square, skirmish line, etc., as shown in the rules. So anyway, this is a French army. We'll start with them since one of them comes in every one of the games. Again, 7 brigades of infantry here. So you start out, you've got a brigade of elite infantry. Those guys have the red plumes, 12 figures, representing about 2,100 men. You have 2 brigades of light infantry, one there and one there with the green plumes, although they are split into 2 half brigades so that you can expand the use of your skirmisher capability. Then you get 4 brigades of line infantry with the white plume, 2 there and 2 brigades over there. So 7 brigades of infantry total. In the back, we get 4 brigades of cavalry, 2 heavy and 2 light. The heavy cavalry are made up of a brigade of cuirassiers, a brigade of dragoons. The light cavalry is a brigade of hussars and a brigade of chasseurs à cheval. You have a battery of horse artillery, although it is designed to be split into half batteries if you want, so you have 2 stands, each with 1 gun and 1 figure. You also have a foot battery set up the same way. 2 stands, each with 1 gun and 1 figure, so you can split them into half batteries if you want. If they're operated together like this, they just act like a regular battery. You have a heavy artillery battery, 3 crew figures and a gun, and you have another foot battery, which is 2 figures and a gun on a single stand. 4 batteries total. And up front, you have your leader set. For this number of brigades, the French army gets 3 lieutenants and a corps commander. The corps commander, of course, he's the overall commander for the formation. The lieutenants do not represent specific division or brigade commanders. They represent command assets that the general can use to help control groups of units. And the number of lieutenants you get is dependent on nationality and the number of units you have on the board. So now we're going to go over and take a look at the Prussians. So the Prussians also get 11 brigades, but in this case you're getting 8 brigades of infantry and 3 brigades of cavalry, plus 4 batteries of guns. So you get a brigade of Prussian grenadiers in the center, red plumes. You get 2 half brigades of Prussian light infantry with the green plumes, 1 brigade total. You get 4 brigades of line infantry with the white plumes, and in the back there's 2 brigades of conscript infantry representing Landwehr. For cavalry, you have 2 brigades of light cavalry, 1 of hussars and 1 of dragoons, and you have 1 brigade of Landwehr lancers. You have a horse battery, which is split to form 2 half batteries if you want. You have a standard foot artillery battery. You have another foot artillery battery that can be split into half batteries if you want. And you get a heavy artillery battery, 3 figures and a gun. Your leader set up front gives you your corps commander, and in this case the Prussians get 2 lieutenants for 11 brigades, as stated in the rules. So a total of about 250 figures between the 2 armies, representing a total of almost 40,000 men on the battlefield split between the 2 armies. Alright, I'll do some close-up pictures of some individual brigades so you can see how they're painted, and also show you some close-ups of some of the cavalry. For instance, the heavy cavalry in the French, they're using a resin cast figure that I produce. It's a crested helmet, so it allows for you to have the heavy cavalry with the horsehair plume that the cuirassiers and the dragoons wore. Everybody else in here, though, is wearing the shako and works out just fine. Alright, so that's what the armies and the starter sets look like. Let me know if you have any questions. Alright, so this is a sample battlefield that I've set up using some of the terrain that comes in the game. So I'll go ahead and go over a few of, show you a couple of close-ups. I've deployed some troops, but not a lot. So, as I said, the forest sections, that's a large forest. Now I've put a lot of trees in it because I've got two smaller forests, but there's plenty of trees available. There's a small forest over here, and another small forest here. But I also had two trees that I just set out, one next to the town, one next to the farm, so that they just added decoration. Here's a close-up of the town. As you can see, you get 4 painted buildings and the base. The base is actually the town. The buildings are there for show. So, since that town is occupied by a brigade of Prussian Landwehr and a half a battery, one of the buildings has been moved out of the way so that there's enough space to fit everything in. Up on the hill, I've used the church and 3 small sections of stone walls to make a little church setup. In the background here, you can see a column of Prussian cavalry, infantry, and artillery moving forward. Off to the side here, and over here behind the forest, there are the objective markers. Each one of them is a couple of wagons with a mounted train officer. One of those would be marked as a real objective. The other one would be a dummy. And if you capture that objective, then you get extra points at the end of the battle. You can see the material that's used for the roads and rivers. Rivers right here. I've got a small bridge set up on the road coming out of the town, and the road just comes on down here. There is another town. This is just, this isn't a town, this is a farm. As I said, one of the farms is set up, it looks a little bit like La Haye Sainte. So there's a farm and 2 fields, and I've used the hedges that come in the game just to add a little bit of decoration. The hedges have no impact on the game. They're just there for show. But the stone walls that are shown here and that are around the church would have an impact. If somebody occupied behind those, was positioned behind them, it would provide them some cover. They're kind of going the wrong direction for that right now. There are a couple of hills behind the town, and then there's a large hill over here, and French players using the large hill to cover the advance of a cavalry division coming over the hill. You can see that it has an attached horse battery and a leader attached to it. He's moving forward in the center with an infantry brigade, or division rather, that includes 2 brigades of line infantry, 2 half brigades of light infantry, and a full battery of artillery. It also has a lieutenant attached. And finally, hidden behind this forest, but probably moving forward to threaten the Prussian left flank, is going to be another infantry division, 2 half brigades of light infantry, 2 brigades of line, and a half battery of artillery, with a lieutenant moving forward. Here is the French objective markers. So this gives you an idea of the kind of battlefield that you can set up. And as I mentioned, everything that comes in the game is also available for sale if you want to expand. Everything always comes painted. I don't do anything unpainted. The fact is that it's just not cost effective for me to just cast buildings. I'd have to charge too much for them. I'd rather just cast them and paint them myself and send them to you complete. But anyway, they're all on there. You can check out the price list on the website. The link is in the description. But this shows you what a battlefield can look like. So, I hope all this was helpful. In the future, there will be a couple of other videos I'm going to show. One will be showing how to set up a battlefield based on the rules. You're also going to get several videos on the mechanics of the game, how the game is played step by step, so you get an idea of what's going on, which should answer most of your questions. The rules are not overly complicated. It does, like any set of rules, it does take a few times through before you grab all the nuances of it, but they're not difficult. But hopefully the videos will help with picking up the game a little bit faster so you can start enjoying your battles. All right, I appreciate you guys turning in, and keep an eye out for future videos. Thanks.